Okay then, so the next guy is gonna be on Painted Desert. He's gonna be there for starting with the HerroOP. And he's gonna be joining us this time, so it seems like it maybe fixes connections, hopefully so for the players. And he's gonna be playing with Loki. Can see very safe gold mine, nicely protected by the forest line. And starting apparently on the more difficult food here, being the rhinos. But, yeah, well, on the other hand, it's gonna be 1,000 food here. Right there. So the next one is gonna be there for Tunison with another Loki. He was, yeah, okay, another Loki. So double Loki is here available for the bottom team. As you can see, the gold mine and all, maybe slightly more exposed, but not too much. Still the forest, so some shortened walls or some kind of houses or whatever. And it's gonna be all quite a bit fine and safe. As you can see, Aggressor X5 is gonna be playing with Hades again. Seems to be enjoying that Sif. No, and we are going to be having for him the gold mine. At least a bit more to the back of his base, but still seems to be maybe the most exposed of the players that we have seen so far. The mountain is very far away, so therefore cannot be used for any kind of useful walling at all. As for the other team, that will be there for batuhaNN, and he's gonna be joining with, again, quite a forward gold. Really impossible walling here, or impossible difficult. We don't have any kind of natural starting points. Just have to be kind of improvising a bit, and he's gonna be playing with Loki. In the pocket, that's gonna be Gaia from GrassTheKid. No, that's gonna be probably a bit of a challenge with double Loki on the other side. So I'm expecting maybe it should be there for Oceanus and Bite of the Shark, Murmilos. Most probably so. And some kind of probably close cooperation with batuhaNN, I'll be expecting. Just to be covering him with the heroes, so I think it had to be making sense. To mitigate the possible issues, with most of the Sphinx being, of course, a great relic. No, and Kenzz is gonna be also continue with the Hades. It's gonna be in a bit of a different spot and different fight, therefore, than last game. So, also begs a bit of a question. Maybe he's gonna be wanting to be taking the second TC, or if maybe he's gonna be trying to fight a bit earlier if he is going to be therefore faced with HerroOP. Just kind of like, I guess, also depends where the temples are gonna be going, and we do have the answer already here. And hey, Chrono. As the gold mine, by the way, is gonna be probably the best here for Kenzz. So on the left flank for both HerroOP and him, they're not really gonna be bad at all in any kind of way. And so far don't entirely have any kind of further details as far as any kind of further resources. Whereas, for example, the temple is gonna be where for yellow. Okay, well, actually hasn't started even yet. So he's gonna be, no, about like 420, 430, so that's not too bad. But it seems like it rather actually HerroOP was going for a bit of an uncommonly quick temple. So at this point he's already prepared and ready. Just the resources, that's gonna be, of course, still taking a bit longer. Not going for any kind of weird crash time in. What is actually the fastest you can advance with Norse? There is that Odin build, but it's specifically Odin build, where you can be advancing kind of like below 4 minutes, right? So like what's like the... It's probably not reasonable anymore if you're gonna be below the 4 minutes, but I wonder how fast you can actually go. If it's something like the 330 as well, that you can even at least partly play with that somehow. Evidently, I don't remember any kind of experimentations like that too much. With anything along those lines. As you can see right now, Archaic TC, really? Again? Huh. I mean, like, have they learned not much from the last game? I mean, like, GrassTheKid himself was actually going for such an aggro play with batuhaNN, and now they're expecting that Tunison and HerroOP are not gonna be doing that. No, well, depends. I think this is gonna be a bit of a cheek clenching moment if they're gonna be going for the second TC or not, because if not, then this theoretically could be rather sad, I think, for GrassTheKid, if they're gonna be combining their forces and wanted to attack him, because obviously he is right now the weakest link, of course, and they could be then just like going for a double also against batuhaNN, whereas maybe somewhat leaving Kenzz to his own devices. But well, depends. Consider double temple build. Wow, that's also something that you see maybe like once in a month. Okay, so nice to see. It's gonna be there for slightly faster, and therefore will be committing into a bit of a stronger feudal age or classical age, which could be maybe even the answer to the fact that GrassTheKid is going to be quite a bit later into the next age then. So I guess that could be the general idea, but there's already gonna be rebel coming forward. And imagine if they actually build their temples forward. Now that would have been quite a nice gameplay for them therefore. And chances, or maybe surprising Group even more. But even now he's probably gonna be having not much of a good time. But so far it seems like it really batuhaN is gonna be covering for him pretty well. And of course cannot be expecting Aggressor to be helping out. He is going for the second TC. That's gonna be the same also for Kenzz Mahve. Yeah, the Rebel Hades players are gonna be just doing their own thing without too much of a interest in the others. And actually the Hades is gonna be the one getting the further hit points on the buildings. Well, he's gonna be having some 6,000 hit points on the fully upgraded TC, right? Or how much is it actually? No, something like that, isn't it? Or is it? It's like 5,800 is a fully upgraded Ra with Sunlight Mudbreak, and it's also similar with Hades, right? Thinking it's something along those lines. So they should be probably putting it above 6,000, if I'm not mistaken it with 4,800. I'm not entirely 100% certain, but I guess you're gonna be seeing somewhere down the line. Maybe I am, because right now if you look at this, he's having 15. He's gonna be getting Masons, that's 300 approximately. 400 is 45 TC, so it's gonna be about 5. Yeah, so it's 4,800, not 5,800 most probably. The hit points in that, but nonetheless, it's gonna be kind of putting it over the further threshold and the nice 1,000 number. No, nonetheless, you're gonna be therefore having at this point not entirely too much to look here. Just seems like that batuhaN is gonna be giving cheaper farms to his teammate, which is very nice. Not entirely expected, especially from a Norse, as they tend to be a bit strained for the resources, especially if they play actively. But what you can theoretically, of course, do here, if you're gonna be building how many? What is this? 7. If you're gonna be building 7 farms, and you're gonna be therefore making them for 75 wood, you're gonna be saving 125. So that's 7, 840, 875, if I'm doing the math right in my head. So that's the difference. And if you would be given, even if you would be just imaginary given, maybe like half of that to your teammate for making the cheaper farms for you, you're still gonna be giving him 400 wood extra. So that should be more than covering for that village not gathering the resources for you, because there is also a consideration that probably should be made. But yeah, it's kind of like a nice teamwork and good to be seeing a detail like that. But there's gonna be also right now blue counter-raiding by batuhaN. So he's gonna be finding his opportunity for visiting closer to Nissan, who's obviously at this point not gonna be having too much of an army nearby, as he is on the other side of the map completely, trying to do practically the same. You can see it's gonna be maybe some opportunity to push away those 2 villages from Group. No, well, 2 heroes here, not entirely the most important, frankly, not entirely certain why he is exactly running from that. But looking at the hit points, maybe that is gonna be the case. He doesn't want to be having some losses against that little army here and there. And he was probably concerned that if he's gonna be getting the spawn, then it would be just like instantly killed by the Greek heroes. Maybe it's gonna be somewhat of a legit thought behind that. As you can see, HerroOP is gonna be there for getting himself a front one. Otherwise, armory, okay. No, yeah. Seems like he's gonna be getting into his semi-fast heroic. It is about like the time for that. Approximately 9 minutes of game time. So soon, should be usually reaching at about 11 minutes. Semi-fast heroic, so it seems like it's gonna be quite a bit worthwhile. And you can see right now, batuhaN is gonna be absolutely the same. Even though he's having quite a bit of an insane amount of gold. It's not entirely that normal. Kind of wonder if there's maybe some sling in there for... Okay, Group, yeah. Okay, so that's where he's getting the resources. I was kind of thinking it doesn't make too much of a sense. And that's also right now making more sense that Group is going for the second TC and that he's also getting the farms from batuhaN. So that's an interesting right now combination. But unfortunately, batuhaN will be losing his own echo, which won't be a problem now. Oh well. Should I be a bit more cautious about the pathing, not sending them just straight over the mountain. There don't seem to be any mountain goats amongst those villages. And well, what kind of auto kills do we have? 1, 2. We definitely need to be there for... If he's gonna be slinking into the Loki, then he certainly needs to be getting way more upgrades. And way more military buildings especially, because obviously Herse is at 23 seconds. No, I mean, like, you just don't have that much to speed up. Even if you're gonna be getting the extra resources. Oh, well, yeah. That's actually a good point. An interesting block of the red Heresirs. Jesus Christ, what the hell is going on here? Now that's what I call actually a supreme surround. If he couldn't escape from that. And we actually get a little mountain giant born of that. No, so that's gonna be unfortunately Red Army gone. He's also gonna be right now losing the TC, unfortunately. Oh, it's gonna be taking a bit longer. Minotaur was obviously the one with the biggest damage in there. As well, the army for practically gone at this point for HerroOP. Doesn't have anything at this point left. Is he gonna be having some raiding? No. Yeah, well, it's gonna be at least... Oh, okay, this is gonna be a bit worse. And Bragi with no Heresirs, definitely not gonna be too helpful. Exactly as you say. It's gonna be having at least some resources for the piggies. Not too much. Unless he has already spent that, but looking at the favor, he didn't. Okay, that's gonna be another great path block in here. With this round. And obviously at this point they have nowhere to run, so he can be taking a bit more time. So that's quite a bit fine. So really good positional fighting so far. By both teams practically, as Fimbulwinter and Flame Weapons are gonna be coming up, but we don't have any kind of counter god power to block this. Nobody is gonna be having Frost, nobody is gonna be having any ceasefire or anything along those lines, as the Wolfies are gonna be even quite a bit helpfully spawned straight into the fight, though the base building is not really terrible here by Aggressor, so therefore it's gonna be a bit harder for the Heresirs to be breaking through and not really doing anything at all. So while the army is gonna get demolished for green, he's gonna be down to 88 pop limit. We are gonna be needing... Oh, the troll is a pretty stupid spawn currently for him. Some kind of quicker attack, and currently still 20 seconds. No, I don't think actually it's too much of a good idea to be continuing fighting here. I don't really think so. As you can see through the left side, the archers are gonna be finally dealing with the nonsensiosos, but you can see how long it took them. About like a minute and a half or 2 minutes ago. If you look in here last. And I'm not liking this push too much. If we were having something like a piggy or a mountain giant, then possibly. But without any kind of help from an actual siege myth unit or anything along those lines, I'm not entirely thinking this is actually making that much of a good sense. Should have been really waiting for the piggy, because what he needs to be getting first and foremost is basically getting the unit there first, so that it's gonna be luring the fire from the TC and the sentinels, because very few people are gonna be actually targeting their TCs and whatnot. So this is kind of like a bit of a little trick, especially on the lower levels. You should be able to use it with pretty good effect. It's really just like nobody there is gonna be targeting into actual units. No, and with the mountain giant final right now coming up, it's gonna be possibly a bit of a different story. But the problem is it's gonna be already a bit too late, and the flame weapons on each side, well, we're gonna be having some interesting moments going on here. With of course restoration not able to entirely counter the flame weapons. It's kind of the opposite. Flame weapons countering the restoration rather. Now to the top. That's only that, and all the way to the right, you can see he was getting a few dwarfies, or actually quite a lot more than a few dwarfies all the way to the left side. As Blue seems to be at this point still holding his own, as he kind of fell back. But it's gonna be up to Grass and Groom. And of course, stop slinging and join with this Murmelanos. You can see right now it doesn't have any further upgrades. Pickaxe right now for Tunison, so we are at 40 minutes. And we already have had quite a bit of an action with also the Mythical Age here. But now probably the power of the Gaia is gonna be quite a bit felt. Against right now 3rd TC. He's gonna be at 24 Veligeros. Yeah, I'm thinking at this point he's gonna be the one to possibly carry the rest of the game. Yeah, attack on Aggressor definitely wasn't the most ideal, that is right. But the flame weapons would have been much better if he visited somebody else. It's kind of like always the same case, right? If you're gonna be trying to attack somebody with good defenses, you really need to be having some good siege weapons. You just can't be hoping that the units are gonna be enough against that. With units, you can be basically taking down somebody like Norse or Atlantean. That's where you can be fighting reasonably. But for the others, not entirely that much. Even the Greeks are proving a bit difficult if you don't have siege weapons. As of course the strength of their units in general is gonna be making the defense slightly easier. Just like sending them straight into a fight. Yeah, that still could be, of course, right now making it through. I'm thinking that currently it's gonna be up to GrassTheKid to take the reins of the game. And basically like roll it somehow, so we'll see if it's gonna be having good enough time for that. As it seems like that unfortunately HerroOP is well aware of that potential danger. No further upgrades for the Murmelos, you can see, and something else. Not really, just channels and Thea, as he's still unfortunately stuck in the classical age, considering he was slinging into batuhaNN. 7,500 resources, no, not too bad. I'm really thinking they're just gonna miss the opportunity. If they were going to be slinging into him, they should have been absolutely dropping like 2 extra longhouses at minimum. Just really, you're gonna be just shooting yourself in the foot too much with long hair creation time. As currently Mr. Yellow Tunison, he is gonna be where exactly with his economy? 38. If you compare, for example, with batuhaNN, it's gonna be at 26. HerroOP is gonna be at 43, so he's kinda like in between, somewhat. Okay, batuhaNN having a bit of a problem here to the right, and quite a bit more of a problem than just a bit. You can see with Sarissa, of course, the crucial upgrade against the Norse, and even against all the Murmelos, it's gonna be quite a bit helpful. 41% melee resistance. What a chat! Right now, the Hoplites in the fight, and of course with the piggies here. Probably could be taken a bit more of an active approach through others already to the TC, but looking at the wolves, that's gonna be an interesting fight between the brass creations and right now the wolfinos. Actually, I didn't want to be. That's a bit interesting. How is it? 60 melee, 40 melee, 420, 720, 20 damage, and they're gonna be having up to 40 in the pack. Bonus should be the same, right? 200. Yeah. I think so. I wonder if it's just kind of like missing here for the piggies from the tooltip. But I mean, like generally, I'm thinking it's for every myth unit, right? That every myth unit is having 200% bonus against another myth. I think it's in general. So I'll be surprised if maybe the piggies didn't have it, because you have somewhat of a limited space in the tooltips. No, not all, really. Maybe like Promethean doesn't have that possibly. Maybe you could be right. But nonetheless, maybe therefore the piggies don't have that. Usually build and destroy myth units don't get much any bonus. Okay, so how about Mountain Giant? Doesn't seem to be listed here either. Huh. And he would be having an old line to the bottom, so this should be potentially fitting. So you're probably right. And even in kind of the specification, which ones do not have that. So that's a bit interesting. Little piece of knowledge. Seems like it maybe, yeah. It's gonna be maybe something like if they're good against buildings, then therefore they just wanted to be having them a bit less. Valkyrie is getting even 3 times. Interesting. It seems to be quite like completely random though. Okay, that's quite nice path blocking as well. And with the, of course, bonus damage they have, they are basically like 2-shot in the villages, right? Now, if you're gonna be having 65 hit points, quad less, you're gonna be there for 30. No, they are almost 2-shot in them. So 3-shot him at this point. It's kind of like... No... Yeah. With 25%, they're gonna be 3-shot in them practically. So with the amount of guys that we have here, it's gonna be actually quite a bit easy. Broken, I wouldn't necessarily say so. Because actually, if you're gonna be having large pack, then it's gonna be, you can see right now, this is a TC and a half worth of population limit in general. And it's somewhat costly on the favor, especially part. And on top of it, it's... They don't entirely have that many hit points. So once they make a mistake, it's a bit of a class cannon. If they make a mistake, they're not entirely too hard to take down. You can see the armor is not entirely the highest either if you compare with other myth units and whatnot. So I think in a bit of a decent spot. I don't entirely think that they are like too overbearing. Usually the players that play with them are then having quite a bit of a problem fighting elsewhere, because you're gonna be having most of your standing army running around without just silly kind of defenses anywhere. So if you're gonna be somewhat at least decently paying attention and able to hide your villages here and there, and then basically just like continue straight attack onto the enemy base, then you are very often gonna be in a better case and better shape. And the raidings simply are not gonna be destroying as much. No, but this time we can say it now, batuhaNN is doing quite decently. Oh yeah, well, 33 villages. That reminds me of when we were looking at that about 8 minutes ago. So he seems to be a bit reverting at this point. So you can say now implosion is gonna be getting ready. No, but where to cast it? We don't entirely have that much of an army. You can see there was just a massacre of red here a bit earlier. No, and he is having serious problems. 63 pop limit for red. You can say it now yellow. No, good luck chasing with that, of course. And after that, as the speed is also at this point gonna be something like, I don't know, 7 almost or whatnot. With another earthquake by Kenzz. Ooh, not even plow here for yellow, unfortunately. Aha, he's having only pickaxe at 20 minutes, okay. And we're gonna be Saki army from green. Sorry, gonna be having still just the Sarisa. That was interesting effect of the destruction of the building, just gonna going into somewhere. What is it? The smoke. No, and with a few of the lucky souls still surviving here, they're gonna be just immediately sent through the underworld all the way there. Yeah. Okay, to defend apparently, or defend rather, attack. It's gonna be interesting right now. Defense by the Argus, but unfortunately Achilles is gonna be right nearby, so not gonna be able to do too much. And as we are starting with the trade, well, you know, the Andy is gonna be needed, and it's going where exactly? Problem is that batuhaNN is practically dead. Where the hell is the underworld? Just don't see it from Kenzz. Oh no, there is one. Okay, so that has to be... Ah, right now I see it. Next to Frontier of Red. That's the other part of it. That's gonna be there. Currently you can say it now, batuhaNN 21 villages. And some kind of army on top of it. Maybe still the wolf. He's actually having very good resources. So he can probably still replace the wolves if he gets a bit of extra fighting. And there was some extra favor. So theoretically can be maybe making even the biggest pack. I wonder actually what kind of biggest pack was like anybody ever having. The bonus stops, right, at certain point, if I'm not mistaken. That it doesn't go like infinitely. Because I mean, like, imagine if you were having, for example, 20 wolves, and suddenly you will be having like, I don't know, 20 speed. You will be basically teleporting across the map. Same as with the attack, you'll be just kind of like having such a pack that you'll be then having 100 attack or whatnot. So it's kind of like kept at like 10 or something like. If I'm not mistaken. It's gonna be like written somewhere here. Each Fenris wolf within 25 range increases the pack's hack and movement speed by 18%. So that means it's not the limit is not here, but I'm fairly certain there is a limit. You can say now it's already having what? How many? 12 wolfinos, and the speed is not entirely increasing. So 18%, that's approximately fifth of 4. So it's gonna be getting less than 1. So gonna be having 0.7 maybe, so like 7 speed extra you will be getting if it was a 10, so it will be already like 11 speed, so it's gonna be actually kept way less, maybe like 7 or 8 possibly even. Because this kind of speed, this is approximately, I'm guessing 8 maybe at max. This is like the fastest camos that you can get. So 7.5, 8, I'm thinking this is going to be approximately, because it really increases, the speed increases kind of somehow exponentially weirdly. Or at least kind of feels that way. Maybe it doesn't have exponential, maybe it's straight linear. Just kind of like the perception of that is like really disproportional maybe. As unfortunately HerroOP is gonna be feeding the wolves again. This will be taking a lot of hunters to be getting all of them from the bellies. And I am certain though they're not gonna be a bit too mangled at this point. The aura for the attack, no, it's because it's gonna be the same as INAR, right? It's gonna be basically like a hidden INAR in my opinion. The same mechanism. They probably took some shortcut in the coding, I'll be imagining. They don't want to be coding the system again. And it's a bit strange, yeah. You could be kind of thinking that it might be actually somewhat like a constant, or maybe it's actually going to be some kind of mistake and basically like a bug in the coding. No, because it has to be, because in my opinion it's every second controlling. Wow, okay, sorry for not showing that. It seems like that actually that it's gonna be checking every second how many wolves are within each other's range. Right, it's gonna be basically every second having to check if they are close by and how many of them. Something like when you have basically the check for the game itself, for the observing tools on the upgrades and on the resources. That basically also goes kind of like every second or whatnot, something like those lines. At least some parts of it are like generally going that way. As you can see it now yellow. Oh well, a bit of unexpected space for him to be living in, as it seems like the gold mine is gonna be already running out. Whereas batuhaNN, he's gonna be without DC, but not entirely dead yet. 11 villages, 1 ox cart. Where is even the ox cart, by the way, for him? Oh, just a farm here. I don't see the... Oh, there's the ox cart in the wood line. Okay. No, that's of course playing it a bit dangerously. Being in such an open position. We are already actually at 26 minutes. As you can see right now, Kenzz is gonna... Wow, 26 minutes and no upgrades whatsoever from Armory. That is of course quite a bit something as well as green shaft. So Plague, Sunray, Iron Weapons, Flat Control. That's also not entirely the fastest. But yeah, at this point I would be very surprised if actually Aggressor didn't win it. Because at this point it's a proper late game Greek, whereas same cannot be said for Kenzz currently. Doesn't seem to be having the power. 17 villagers for HerroOP, 11 for batuhaNN. Can see right now 47 for Tunison. She's having at least some kind of echo, I guess. Okay, so everybody's just gonna get right now destroyed here. Besides the dragon, of course. Okay, so that was a quick stop. Let's go elsewhere. Find a problem. And actually, what kind of speed? No. By the way, that right now actually makes me wonder. How is it with track rating? No, TC is having 10. So obviously with the upgrade into Masons or what is it? Oh, crenellations. Wait, what? 7 crenellations? Probably. Doesn't. Okay. Isn't... Oh, that's Migdol. Ah, right. It's not TC, it's Migdol. Of course, crenellations increasing track rating of Migdol, so of course. Yeah, TC with 10, you can say now they're still gonna be below 10. But basically, if you're gonna be having such a track rating here on the TC, that's probably gonna be quite a clear signal by the devs. By the way, what maximum speed they were actually expecting. That no unit should be going above 10. And all of them are gonna be below, because they obviously wanted to be having the TC always hitting. Same as it is in Age of Empires 4, but Age of Empires 4 is always hitting even with archers, so that's a bit of a different deal in there altogether. Yeah, green kinda never, oh, the teal never got going properly, unfortunately. So that's something, in my opinion, that is gonna be costing him. At least he's having burning pitch for the archers to become somewhat of a siege weapon. Especially for the Hades, as you can see it now to the top. Ah, that's the last ox cart. And now it's gonna be time to learn if batuhaNN knows that he should be able to gather resources even through allied TCs. So he can continue working, but he needs to be manually then sending them to the allied TC. And it should be giving resources to him. So if he wants to be bothering with that somehow, or he's just gonna be relying potentially on some kind of slinging, because you can see he's out of resources, no favor, and that's a big problem because that means he cannot be replacing, unfortunately, the wolves. So seems like the gameplay for the top team is at this point going quite a bit lower. Yeah, sniping the giants is nice, but the problem is he's not gonna be able to do it for too much longer at this point anymore, and it's of course a bit unlucky. As all the way to the right flank. Oh, that's gonna be green, just gonna fortifying the spot. And even though there's a bit of an attempt by GrassTheKid, we still having only heavy murmills and only copper and Kenzz bronze. And nobody has gotten too far on the upgrades, frankly, here. And economy is gonna be at least somewhat solid, even though the wood could be maybe somewhat deeper. with green aggressor is gonna be at least fully upgraded, and on the army, having only heavy toxotai, but at least double iron and bronze, so he is kinda like the closest to an actual full late game. Oh, the Wolf Raiden has been really effective, especially HerroOP will be having a few things to say about that. He lost like 60 villages to them. And I'm probably not gonna be even overestimating that. Most probably not. As you can see now on the left side, it seems like that Red though is at this point going to be in somewhat of a good position. Maybe that's gonna be chance for a town center for Red, who currently does have some kind of army or not. No, basically not. He's having literally just a few units. Blocking the gold mine, no, I guess that's kinda nice, probably. Heavy pass pistols, nothing new. So you're gonna be getting at least yellow into hell. I wonder if maybe getting Fimbul Winter with some focused attack would be a better idea. Because at this point I have limited amount of TCs, so they will be getting basically all the spawns on them, and they will be therefore able to predict where to fight. Oh, not predict, no, they have 4 TCs, so they will be getting 4 spawns on them. So that's not too much of a hard prediction, right? But nonetheless, the GG is gonna be called, and this was a fairly curious game. Just kinda sad I missed that big raid here on the left side somewhere. With the wolves, that was like 20 villages demolished, but we have seen plenty of the others anyway.
Yes.
Yep, the wolves were definitely having their bellies quite a bit full. Okay, as I look into post-game. No, I wanted to be seen. Or I want to actually look at something. But what was it? Can't entirely right now remember. Well, whatever. Let's therefore go in. I'm really thinking at the start they could have been having much better time. Oh, right. Aggressor Smurf. He's having just custom scenario 1700. Otherwise, he's having... Apparently, this is the highest rated ladder account. 1v1 supremacy 1818, 23 wins, 6 losses. Team game supremacy 1788, 22 wins, 7 losses. But, I mean, like, the numbers are pretty low. So maybe it's some kind of older player or... I don't know. Just, like, doesn't have higher smurfs. Maybe just, like, some kind of team game player. Because 1788 on team games is already quite a bit high. That's somewhere in the higher echelon. No, Loki needs bills. But overall, he definitely did carry him. Can see if you compare it with Kenzz Mahve, you're gonna be having some 7-4, 5, what is it, 12-4, 12-4, and 9, 23-4, 24,000 resources more for aggressor than for Kenzz Mahve. It's not a bad difference. You can see even 6,000 from the trade. Trade was obviously a problem for his team, for Kenzz, as they of course lost the whole side in there. But again, at the start, if batuhaNN made a bit more longhouses, then the sling-in by the Gaia would have been a lot more powerful. A lot more powerful indeed. And Kenzz Mahve, well, thank you very much for the raid. And by the way, this is right now the stream where on Friday you're gonna be able to watch the finals of the Extended Edition Hidden Cup 2 at 17 GMT. We are gonna be doing the bronze match of that tomorrow at 15 GMT here on this channel. But Kenzz is streaming the finals on Friday. So follow that and you're gonna be seeing the resolution of the Smurf tournament. But nonetheless, thank you Kenzz Mahve for the games and aggressor as well. And it seems like that Kovoth, or rather Mechanics rather, is gonna be coming back, and or maybe also not. Yeah, he came in, he came out. But well, just kind of looking for a few more players to join us for some community games. Okay, can see quite nice numerinos. Even though Kenzz Mahve was having also similar army, obviously the missing upgrades were not having an effect. 82 military count, but 269 units killed. What a number, right? If you compare, for example, with HerroOP, who's also having very high unit skill though, at 126. So interesting statistics. Obviously, as I mentioned, about at minimum 60 villages from HerroOP in this number. 11-minute mythical age. Now, again, with the sling-in, not entirely much of a uncommon achievement, otherwise really low upgrades for practically everybody. 22 Fenrises. Hero was doing quite a good job on keeping them alive, frankly. And kind of like in Wolf Raiden, Wolves, Wolf Raiden. Yeah, that was the big one on the gold. I'm gonna have to probably look at that again. Because that was like 20, 30 villages there. Gonna have to watch that, but nonetheless. GG. Okay, probably not gonna be having time for that. It was like 25 minutes in the game. Okay, so Grass and Groom, Tunison are gonna be also going off with batuhaNN. So thank you guys for the game, same as HerroOP. So it seems like this game room is kind of off currently. So gonna be having to look for something else, I guess. That is potentially another one that is 19 minutes in. And of course Ulysses is doing some 1v1s. But yeah, it's gonna be potentially a team game here that you can do. And there's another one, low level that is, they just started. 1 minute in, okay, so that's probably not something you're gonna be able to do. Yeah, maybe that game room that currently Ogneni is streaming, maybe you could be visiting that then. Which means that you probably could be right now having time to have a look at the recorded game, just really spending the minutes. Gonna have to be paying somewhat of an attention to it, to the game, so not gonna be like following the game necessarily. By the way, Chrono, if you are still around, then not sure if you have noticed, as there were the new TOS by Twitch released yesterday. And unless there's going to be some kind of like further kind of elaboration on that, then it looks like that Twitch has basically banned multi-streaming. Besides kind of like streaming to some kind of mobile platforms like TikTok or Twitter. It's kind of like a bit weird, but nonetheless, from the burden that there currently is, it looks like that basically nobody. Because first, originally it was only to partners that they couldn't stream at the same time as when they were streaming to Twitch, they couldn't stream anywhere else. And I'm thinking that it was also mentioned that it was banned for affiliates some time ago or whatnot. And now it seems like they've banned it like absolutely completely. I mean, like, realistically, like, who's gonna be getting banned for that, right? You would have to be getting reported for it, probably. Otherwise, there's, like, practically zero chance they're gonna be catching up with you and even caring about it. But yeah, just, like, I know that you are, not sure if you still are, both into stream, or try YouTube and Twitch. I just, like, wanted to let you know in case it was something you considered relevant or important. So who knows, if maybe they're gonna be trying to somehow clamp down on that or whatever. But yeah, well, considering what they also did regarding the advertising and whatnot, which, well, they basically tried to be also basically stopping people from taking some big sponsorships that will be having like advertisement plastered all over the stream. And they want that to be going practically through Twitch, right? So that they have the cut as well from it. So basically just like classic somewhat greedo. On one hand, I can understand that. On the other, on all kinds of other platforms, it kind of somewhat has to be going through them. So I can kind of understand what they're trying to do, but it's incredibly heavy-handed and kind of stupid for the environment, and especially what they're doing otherwise. How they're basically just like trying to... well, at this point, it almost looks like they're trying to fleece the creators more and more. Even though, again, as I always say, I'm not gonna like one of those people that would be saying that 50% cut is somehow too much. Because frankly, you have to be imagining one thing. If there is no Twitch whatsoever, where are you? Where is your money coming from? Nowhere. Because you don't exist as a streamer. Or at least not at the same level with, because their discoverability and their platform is what is allowing you to be where you are. So while today you can be potentially switching into YouTube and whatnot, you have some options, sure, but also it's would be good to be imagining and kind of taking into appreciation that you are having some relevant YouTube, probably because you were getting born on Twitch. So yeah, I'm kind of thinking that the 50-50 deal is in general somewhat okay, as yeah, well, they get something out of it, you get something out of it, right? So not entirely certain why people are actually so against that. But yeah, well, that's probably because I'm not greedy enough, or I don't know. And because they just kind of thought that everybody is gonna be getting the nice, juicy, high-profile 70-30. Which is basically just like a bonus, to be honest, from Twitch. Because people kind of think that the 70-30 is practically like a normal state that they should be getting into, instead of like the bonus that is supposed to be, right? It's just like, don't think that 50-50 is, all things considered, somewhat like fleecing anybody or just trying to take advantage of somebody. Again, where would the streamer be if he didn't have Twitch? Nowhere. So I should be kind of like trying to play it in a way that basically Twitch should be giving you its services for free and you should be raking in all the money. Just like, don't really like that kind of idea too much. Of course, doesn't mean that Twitch isn't doing quite stupid things lately. That certainly has to be said. And, oh well, we'll see where it's gonna be actually leading. Because it doesn't seem like that it's gonna be necessarily too many good things. But, well, in the end, we always gonna be having YouTube, I guess. And yeah, talking about the multi-streaming and whatnot, we all have some YouTube channels, so we can be easily switching there. Oh, there's the Kick, the new platform. Not entirely certain how well it's gonna be kicking off. Trovo apparently just failed, as far as I know, right? Didn't even kick off all that well. It was probably just like asking everybody to join them. Yeah, they were also offering some kind of weird incentives to me as well, but nonetheless, like, how would I be doing that? So we'll see if maybe Kick is gonna be trying to do something like that, maybe in some kind of better way. But again, if just simply Twitch becomes somewhat unusable, that's the YouTube. And that seems to be at least working on things for the time being. So we'll see. Okay, quite nicely, at least utilizing currently the back channels. This is exactly what the Painted Desert is all about. Okay, it's gonna be... This is not the radium I'm looking for. That's gonna be one much better in about 5 minutes. Oh, he's so open on the release here, HerroOP. I mean, like, this wasn't too much of a bad earthquake, frankly, against him. What's he gonna be right about now, therefore? No, some further raiding in the middle. I mean, like, just at this point, batuhaNN was just, like, straight going for all the villages where he could find them. But I mean, like, there's just gonna be few limited spaces and places where they could be. Villages having... Oh, he was also getting taste of green here for a bit. Kind of like the advantage of the wolves is that they are just so fast in killing the villages that they can be basically diving under Migdals, DCs, palaces, whatever. And they're just gonna be losing literally just a few hit points. Can't say, now some reinforcements coming up. Okay, that's the 12. Yeah, we're gonna be getting close to raiding. It should be right now on this. You can say now some bulk of that economy is about to get destroyed. This is the same sound. I mean, like the stock sounds in the older games, of course, they were utilized all over. But this kind of like growl is very similar to Daggerfall, to werewolves and wereboars. Somewhat adjusted. But yeah, we're gonna be finding some similar sounds all across. Two. 33 villages. Okay, so how many is that? 22. And that's another one. Oh, yeah, you're going into the wrong spot at this point, lady, I'm afraid. Now he noticed. When already all of them are dead. No, and now, and you're gonna be looking at him, 9 villages. Yep, so that was exactly the huge drop in there. He was at this point probably just trying to control the middle, maybe doing the same against the purple villages. So he managed to kill at least one with the help of his friend. But they're gonna be even taking down the TC then here. Yeah, they will. You can see the damage is sufficient for that, even without any kind of crash, or the crash. But that's because he didn't have even, I guess, masons, right? Yeah, he didn't have melee resistance. Why didn't he finish? I mean, like that, this probably could have been finished better, I guess, by batuhaNN. But alright. This is not a bad one. They have quite nice pierce resistance at 50. And of course, with the huge damage, they can be helping almost instantaneously. Can see the top side was attempted with the piggies already. Some forgotten shards. Taken actually still the healing spring. I mean, like the wolves, they are somewhat hard to catch up with, but basically if you're gonna be playing somewhat of a static defense against them, then they really just, they don't have any kind of extreme hit points, and for a myth unit, they do not have any kind of extreme defense. So if you're just gonna be waiting on some spot for them, you can kind of like whittle them down fairly decently. But yeah, it's a bit obnoxious, of course. If you're gonna be having good teammates, and you're gonna be therefore able to afford to spend the time on running around, when the teammates are gonna be just kinda like doing the normal fights, then you can really do a lot. That's kinda like the best position. If you have good teammates holding the forts, and then the wolves, basically the player can be focusing on them fully, on the villages and whatnot. It's, as you can see, the raiding is very quick, so it's really hard. You can like avoid it properly. So that's where kinda the difficulty comes from those. Yeah, Singru, you just like, I don't know at this point if they're just wanting to be even defecting at this point, but nonetheless, maybe I was trying to find a spot where to go in. There's none here. Okay, can say no, there was that relic for Trojan Gate Hinge. No, mentality the most important, still of course giraffes on the map available as well. But yeah, it's gonna be already the Gaia. But yeah, at least we have therefore had enough time to have a look onto the wolf raiding.